Hi, this is Christy, and I just wanted to do a video in response to the video by Healy called Power of Thought, a Quantum Perspective on YouTube. I think it's a great video, and it brings up a lot of really good points. I just wanted to kind of get a little deeper into some of the ideas, or, well, the truths, really. I mean, they've been proven. It's talking about quantum physics. In regards to thought manifesting reality. While thought does actually manifest reality, there's something deeper that actually manifests thought. And once we get to that, those deeper levels, there's actually several levels beyond thought that help us to create our reality. But once we get to those levels, we can really harness it and manifest reality in a lot more efficient way. While these concepts, these knowings that I have come from a 0-point meditation, and they are something that I do know as actual fact, proven within my own life. It is still a process to apply these things because we are programmed and triggered based on continual traumatic events and traumas, to react in these ways. So what 0-point meditation does is allows you to go to that silent moment, that still moment of creation where all exists as pure energy, and to create a space between, or the moment before the moment in your reality. Thus, whenever you encounter an event that would normally bring up some sort of jaded or angry, some sort of heightened, nerve-wracking response, automatic response, instead you'll have this moment before reaction where there's like a stillness, and you can then choose how to react instead of this. You can create new action instead of just reacting, I should say. So the point of this video in response to The Power of Thought, a Quantum Perspective by Healy, is to get us to understand how to get to the 0 point, and that it's feeling and emotion that drive thought. Because we feel a certain way, and then we want to make we make thoughts based on how we feel about that. Oh, this person doesn't like me because, or because we feel something, all these different assumptions. But when you get down to the deepest 0-point aspect of self, the pure being, the all-seeing eye that we all have within us, the observer, you realize that you are this unconditional love, and it's not some fluffy, state that we think of currently, because we have love backwards right now. I mean, love is conditional, I will only love you if this and that and blah blah blah. And it also has to apply to ourselves. We have to love ourselves unconditionally. So it's not about being a martyr or things like that, because you also have to, it's a balance. You have to love yourself and all unconditionally, what's best for the whole, with each part being equally important. So in order to get to the 0 point, it is about silencing the mind, because your mind is duality. The mind is here to basically create reference points. It's a computer system. It locates data and it pings it back and forth. It's not what is meant to be the driver, the consciousness behind existence. It is simply a tool that we use in order to manifest this virtual reality that we play in, that we express ourselves in a multitude of ways. We are the infinite eternal now, and by creating this illusionary process, we enable ourselves to take that still moment and to then create climaxes in what we really are, what we truly are. So we can sort of filter it and then immerse it, almost like what you can do with color in video, the saturation. It's like And that allows us to experience the orgasm of creation, that climax of creation. This is our epic story. So all these, you know, negative, quote unquote, negative emotions are based on wrong thought. So there is a two-way system that works, but at your source, it's all of the emotions tied to unconditional love, because that is 0 point. That is consciousness, it's life, it's what we are. We have different names for it, but it's really the same thing. So once we reach that 0 point, when we have a silent mind in meditation, you know, eyes closed meditation with a completely silent mind, just purely absorbing with all of your senses, everything, every energy, unconditionally absorbing all of the energy around you without judging, unconditionally loving, absorbing everything, all energies around you, and bringing them to your 0 point, the point that you are. 0 point is really, it's kind of a misnomer because it's not a single point. 0 point is the infinite field, but you must create the toroid, or the torsion, that focus within our aura, which encompasses all the central chakras, all the chakras, in order to see and feel and experience the 0 point at its core level, because it's everywhere always, but we have these frequency veils that we've manifested using scalar pulsing, which manipulates the EM field, the electromagnetic field. So we've created these veils, and I mean the 0 point source, omni-consciousness that all are as one, has created this veil in order to, as we said, create the grand epic opera play. I say opera specifically because it is sound, it is vibration that enables this visual or multi-sensory experience. So it is that 0 point that exists at the core level, and it's all pervasive, and it's the toroid that enables us to go through the veils. It takes all these veils, the frequencies, and it organizes them into that vortex to where the center is pure 0 point. You're not, all these thoughts are not going in your head. You're not judging everything that's coming in, which makes you miss some of what's coming in, because you're wasting time thinking about the last thing coming in. You know, you need to be present in the now. And so going to that 0 point in meditation is what enables us to be present in the now, and enables us to realize that it's emotion, that feeling, it's emotion, you know, that enables us to truly harness our abilities, because you can see that thought it's not truly necessary. And as an example, when I was 2 years old, almost 3, I had experienced a traumatic event which gave me an out of body, and during this out of body I didn't have an effigy. There was no visual perception of what I thought to be myself, or what people would think to be the self. I didn't think, you know, as a 2-year-old, you're not that deep into thought. But once I went to out of body, I then noticed this, because I was no longer processing things through the mind of a 2-year-old. See, mind isn't everything. I had moved beyond mind and into the being state, where I wasn't simply a single effigy, but I was pure energy, able to, the all-seeing eye, able to be at any point instantly without a thought process necessary. And in this experience, I realized, well, it was really the musings afterward as I got older. Because like I said, in the experience there was no thought. I didn't need to think about things. As soon as it's like I saw the perfect thing at that moment, the perfect experience at that moment, and then was able to later, as I got older, you know, draw these conclusions based on that. When I, you know, back in my mind, when I was concluding things, but at the moment I understood everything, you know, why I was seeing what I was seeing, and there was a peace, you know, even though I was seeing a traumatic event, I understood it all. I didn't have any anxiety because of it. It was both a beautiful experience and a moving experience, and there was feelings of sorrow attached to it, but they were not you know, so weighing down. It was more of just an understanding of the reason why this was happening, the ignorance or the veil that we're, you know, that we have. But I didn't have to, you know, all these machinations within my mind didn't, you know, the way I have to describe it didn't have to occur. It was just a knowing of this, you know, there was just a peace there. When I saw it, I understood. You know, and this is at age 2, and it changed me forever. Since age 2, I was, you know, from that point able to see deeply within people and understand, you know, what was going on. And I also knew myself to not be simply a physical being, but to be much more than that, to be hyperdimensional, without form, not just from another dimension, but all dimensions, formless, the energy, the life, the very vitality that is every dimension. I knew myself to be that from that point in a very tangible way, which sounds, you know, counterintuitive to be able to say that you had this experience with no form, and yet to experience it in a tangible way. But it truly was an amazing, peaceful experience, and there's no way you can take that away. There's no way someone can convince me that, you know, I'm a physical form, and, you know, because I know that physicality is simply a hologram, and that's something that's really important to understand too. The whole particle and wave aspect brought up in the video, and how they can't be both at once. That's actually, it's the perception. It's perception that they can't be both at once, because all exists in the now. I mean, you know, they're contradicting themselves within the video. Not that the video is bad. It's a great video, but, you know, it's the nuances which those that have reached 0 point and understand all these things, it's the nuances that we tend to enjoy pointing out, because those are what really put the fine details within our reality. Because even a simple word within a phrase can carry a frequency which can bring your experience down a dimension. You know, because every moment we're choosing different dimensional timelines based on the words, the feelings we have, which translate to the thoughts and the words and the actions that we have. So in every moment, so many timelines we're traversing, because it's still moments. Each timeline is a still moment, and the energy unchanged that still moment would produce. But we're not unchanging, we're constantly changing, and so we're hopping through those different timelines based on the intelligent feedback loop, which the Taurus is, that enables us to go to the 0 point, to our true source self, so that we can remember that while the process is what we are experiencing, and it is part of what defines us as who we are, our true source is the still infinite moment that is all as pure energy. So it's this dance that is necessary, and also to realize that it's much more than just thought. Thought is, you know, 4th dimensional. We need to get multidimensional. Thought is one single avenue, and if you only use that avenue, you're going to experience a lot of turmoil. You're going to be in a Harry Potter world, because they're going to be everybody, you know, the dualistic minds all trying to, you know, energetically shoot their wills out into reality, la la la. It's only within the 0 point heart source that we can unify with our true cosmic infinite omni-consciousness, that we all are as one, and enable the manifestation of creation that will be harmonic for all, instead of, you know, like I said, this Harry Potter world that that Hollywood is trying to kind of move us into, because they know that we're going to be experiencing advancements within our expression and our creation, our aura, and or our awareness of our aura, because, you know, we are infinite and eternal. So it's the awareness, and that's another thing I want to go into too. What is consciousness? Consciousness is not the mind. Consciousness is much more than that. Consciousness is the very aether that makes up the fabric of all that is. It is the formlessness that is all, and it is also the various levels of creation which awareness of that omni-consciousness creates. So we are all consciousness, which is the omni-infinite source of all, the Aether, soul, infinite omni-soul, and also the Maya, or the creation, the veil, the vibrations which we create from that, are also part of who we are. They're both, like I said, the back and forth dance. So it's really important to have unconditional love for every moment, because even those moments where you've had, you know, some of the most difficult points in your life, and, you know, those of us that have been initiated since birth know that it's the difficult points that really turn us into the diamonds that we truly are. So in those points, it's really important to remember there is no need for negative emotions, for emotions which are not based on unconditional love, but based on fear. Face the fear. If you have it, don't deny it, face it, and you will see that the fear is then unnecessary, because the event that you're experiencing is simply there to move you to the next state of advancement. It's an initiation. Every time something happens in your life that's difficult, it is a blessing initiation that is telling you you're ready for the next step. And the way to graduate every time is to realize that all this experience, this so-called negative event, is the echo of your past thought that is apexing in order for you to take your new choice and break through that echo, break through that womb into your new reality. And it is when you stay within peace and unconditional love during that experience. Don't get frantic, don't get hopeless. You know, if you start to feel twinges of these feelings, go to your 0 point. And the understanding that there is the only, you know, the now, the infinite being is your true self. You don't have to worry about the process. You just keep going to that 0 point, and you will be led in the perfect steps, and you'll know anyway that any step you take is the perfect step, and that the ultimate outcome is guaranteed. And that is the 0 point. That is the culmination of unity of everything in the universe. Consciousness unifying. It is inevitable. You cannot get around it. All these different experiences, these fractals of that one truth, are simply branches that are spiraling off and are going to come back to that 0 point of unity. It is the one thing in the cosmos that is guaranteed. Everything else is a toss of the dice of which possibility are you going to get and to bring you to that point. There are many paths to the one point. You know, that's the whole idea behind that. So I just wanted, again, back to the main point about the video, I just wanted to bring out that mind is simply a small portion of our tools of creation. It is not the focus. It is, in fact, a very, you know, it's like your computer. I mean, you know, you simply use it for a certain type of interface, and not the most intimate in many ways. So the truth is the feelings, the deep, the stillness, when you quiet your mind. I'm not talking about, it's more, I guess I should say, the emotions. I'm not talking about, you know, the anger and all. These are based on wrong thought. That's when you're going, you know, backwards. That's when you're letting your mind decide what your feelings are. When you go to the 0 point, it's that stillness, the way that you can feel, that you do feel when you quiet your mind, which most people have a trouble doing, and you know, some people are like, wow, that seems impossible. It's very possible. All you have to do is practice and accept even a moment of a silent mind. Be grateful for even a moment of a silent mind, and it is that gratitude that will then be able to extend it. Do not, if you're wanting to benefit from this, do not put negative energy if you are trying to get to that meditation and do have a thought, because that's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. That's that'll spin you around the opposite way. So if you do happen to have a thought come in when you are trying to reach that 0 point silent mind, all you would simply do is breathe that thought into a point. You can visualize a point of light, and then breathe it out. And take note of what the thought was and just let it go. Just stop it when you realize you're thinking, take note of it and let it go by that breath work. And pay attention to the breath. And also pay attention to the sound, the vibration, the song of the spheres that you'll hear in silence, without thinking thoughts about it. So just, it's pure absorption of energy is what that 0 point is. And the more you get to that, the more you'll start to experience amazing things. And then once you come out of the meditation, that quantum up and download, because there's no direction when you realize there's no space. So it's really just both in and out, up and down. That download upload that you will receive will begin to unpack into the many different ways that we express and communicate. So you do the 0 point meditation, you get the amazing energy, feeling, the emotion, and then you come out of the meditation and you begin to just understand these concepts, yet you haven't necessarily put them into words. And then situations will unfold and occur that will enable you to share these truths, as thought processes, and then down into actual words, spoken words. Because it's different to have a concept in your head and to actually speak it eloquently. Because sometimes there's something that that we can understand in our mind, but just have trouble putting into English words or whatever our language is, because of the way language has been constricted, because again the mind has been constricted and separated from the heart and the emotion and all this stuff. So but with the 0 point meditation and the unfolding of the consciousness through the different levels of awareness and communication, you can see that mind is very low, on the totem pole per se. It's one of the last steps before creation, one of the very last little finalizations, before you hit print. It's kind of like, when doing this video, it has to be here before it can come here and be given to the computer, and before I can, publish it. So it's the same type of process. It's not, thought, boom, thought reality. It's a ladder. It's a step down ladder. A radial step down ladder. So that's the important point, is that we need to get to that 0 point and reach unconditional love, which is the pure, again, acceptance of all energies within our heart, our singular unified heart, not the dualistic mind that's pinging back and forth. I mean, if you think of pinging, and you have 2 points here, and you're pinging energy from one point to the other. As you're pinging that energy, there's a moment where you're missing the data as it's moving back and forth. So you're getting this flipping of light. There's something, you can see there's something flipping. So you're missing data there for a moment. That's what duality is. That's what the duality is. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's what that is. That's what we're doing. It's the same as, how your eyes see certain frames per second. What you start to do, and when you reach that 0 point, is you're able to literally slow down and speed up time at the same point, because you're able to react faster. So in a way, you're speeding up time, but you're slowing down the perception, the experience of it. You're slowing it down for experience, but you're speeding up your action. So they're both going at the same time. And that's what, when you stop looking in duality, you realize that all the things that you thought were opposites are actually 2 parts to the same thing. Like we talk about hot and cold as opposites, but in truth, what science teaches, what science teaches is that cold doesn't exist. There's only heat and lack of heat. But when they finally figure out the truth about cold fusion, they'll realize that it's really not hot and cold that we're talking about. It's resistance and unconditionality. It's the modulation of energy. Are you resisting energy? Basically, or slowing it down. It's slowing down the speed of it. because you can't really resist. Because when you it's like, think about it, it's like a bottleneck. When you're driving, there's the resistance of the cars trying to come, and more cars build up, and the pressure, all the people getting angry, the pressure. That's what happens when you try to resist something. So ultimately it's going to create a very intense situation that will ultimately release a burst of energy, a Yahweh, an orgasm, if you will. But do you want to have angry sex, or do you want to have passionate sex in your life? And I mean that in a multi-dimensional way. One of the things that I realized from the 0 point is that it's very sexual, and I mean that in a spiritual, multi-dimensional way. Again, I don't mean that in a singularly sacral chakra way. I mean in the sense that everything in life is and by life, I mean the realities that we create, all the creations that we make within our life, is basically this dance, this back and forth, this spiraling dance, which builds up pressure, and ultimately leads to either a limp experience or a beautiful burst of creation or of satisfaction. So I mean, it's really easy to link everything back to that experience, and doing that's a core primal aspect to the human experience. So if we can relate something so universal or so cosmic and unified and unconditional to something so basic and deep within our physical experience, we're really bridging that gap between alpha and omega and creating the spiral of understanding. So that's why I do use sexual references in that light. And it also, we need to take the sexual experience out of this lust type of, it's all about beauty and lust and, what they got, and into a more spiritual, alchemical, cosmic, orgasmic experience, which is much, much better. I mean, imagine, having your sexual experience being like an ayahuasca journey or like a DMT experience where you have this beautiful surrender to an almost like a beautiful swaying death. It's like clinging to your life, but yet you surrender. It's a very beautiful experience, and it's talked about. I've experienced it personally, and it is an alchemical experience between two twin souls, twin flames. And that's really what the sexual experience is more about. It is about truly unifying the aura, because as two people or any group of people interact, what's really happening is they're creating an energy field of completely unified energy of everyone involved, and that unified energy field is what is responding back to the individuals. So really, there is no separation. There's nothing that can separate one energy energy from energy. Everything is energy. It's all one energy. It's just different frequencies of that one energy. They teach you all the things that you need to know in, basic chemistry, but they leave out, the connections. They don't connect things for you, and they might misword things or, slightly distort things. Like they tell you that, there's all these different types of energy, and each energy has a different frequency. But if you really think about that, there's one energy, and that one energy is vibrating at different frequencies, and it's the different frequency ranges that we put divider lines on that create the different experiences for us. And then they teach you, about sound and things like this, and all these different sensory perceptions of energy. But then they say, sound is between this range and this range of energy, and then and visible light is between this range and then. No, that's what we can see as visible light. That's what we can hear. But the whole spectrum makes a sound. The whole spectrum has a visible, a radiant expression. It's just are your eyes aware enough to see them? You know, I personally, I can see photonic expression. I can see photons. I've been able to see them since I was a child, and actually it wasn't until I had when I was older and had a hallucinogenic experience that I related that back to my childhood and realized that hallucinations are not, you know, something imaginary, save the fact that everything in creation is imaginary. They're not something separate. You know, you can't say they don't exist. No, they do exist. When anything that you can imagine or tap into exists as a current reality that you are tapping into. What, you know, seeing photons, seeing the little dancing pattern dots that are the neon colors, and in addition, in my advanced chemistry class, you know, we studied the colors of photonic energy and did experiments with ionized salt on this, and the colors of the ionized salt were the same that we activated to release the photons, were the same colors of these photonic particles that I could, they're not really particles, but these photonic condensed light or sound that I could see. Again, with the particles and waves, there's really no particle. It's not a particle, a solid matter. It's not matter. What it is condensed light. It's a hologram. And the reason why, you know, we see a particle or a wave, this duality that we think exists, it's particle, it's a wave, is simply because it's a two-dimensional and a three-dimensional classification or sensory experience of the same one thing occurring. So a particle is basically what we see when our eyes see at a certain frame, pick up that burst of light at its certain frame rate, and we see, oh, this size particle or that size particle. And I mean this on a very, you know, this is most people don't actually see particles, but we're talking about, okay, when they look in the electron microscopes or when they look in the atomic microscopes and see the particle, they see, oh, well, hydrogen is this size, and, you know, on and on. That's because your eyes are timing the pulsing of that 0 point, which is really a black hole, a black-white hole. It's a blinking point of modulation of energy. We're seeing it at a certain frame rate that is synchronizing, and you're seeing it at that same synchronistic rate every time. So you see that particle as the same. You see that light burst, but really what's happening is a burst that is onioning up, bursting, you know, within nested fields of itself. But when you cut that in half and see it in a two-dimensional standpoint as a line, you're going to see from that point, you're going to see a wave going up the onion layers of the burst. So that's how they are seeing this dual experience of, oh, it's a particle, or oh, it's a wave. It's really one thing that they're dividing into two different perceptive ways of perceiving it, points of view. So with that explained, and all of my comments, I could go on forever. I'm an infinite Akashic records, because, you know, that's what I am. We've accessed that. I'm infinite conscious. We all are. You know, you all are within that space with me as I go, as the one true self. So this video is more of a triggering of remembering from all my different aspects out there watching it. I love you very much, and I hope you guys are having a Merry Christmas. And maybe I'll do a video before Christmas of I learned how to create a little mnemonic symbols based on things that we are ripe to manifest, and it worked really well for me this Christmas, actually, and helping our family. And so I think I'll probably be doing a video on how to create those little mnemonic symbols that you can meditate on yourself. I mean, look at the family crests of all the elite families. They have symbols on them that have meaning, and they help create things for them. So why don't we use that in a positive light? And that's another thing you learn in 0 Point, is that all of the, you know, so-called occult, they're not occult anymore, because I'm revealing them. and many others are, the so-called occult symbols and magic and black magic and all that stuff. It's not black. It's just the way they've used it. It can be used very, very positively. And I'll, on that note, I'll mention the chemtrails. You can use those positively too. They are pinging, amplifying ionic particles, and all you have to do is send out your unconditional love to them, which is more powerful than any chaotic energy. It is the most organizing energy, because like I said, puts it all to that 0 point. It takes in everything, brings it to that 0 point, and then radiates it out harmonically so that every point has a resonant frequency with it, so that everyone can find something that pings them just right, and makes them want to delve further and understand deeper, and allows them to do so. So with the chemtrails, when you see those planes, don't curse them, send them a blessing, because it's that blessing that's going to make the perfect events happen for them to wake up. And for those chemtrails, they're pulsing out heart frequencies, and they can make in any combination of matrices. So all you need to do is send out your love, and it will harmonize whatever they try to put out. And I will also be doing a video explaining how to deal with the fact that HAARP can manifest thoughts, and how to view that in an unconditional and unified way, because we are everything. So really, are they creating and putting thoughts in our mind that are not ours, or are they simply placing it before us, and it is our choice to decide whether we want to use that thought, or if we want to breathe it in and let it go. So that's why I said thoughts are not who you are. Thoughts are not the manifestors. Thoughts are just tools. They're just the colors we paint with. It is the 0 point. It is the true emotion of unconditional love that is the painter. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. And I'll see you in the 0 point.